A couple of years ago, I was writing a story about the Filipino community in New York City, and I had the pleasure of meeting Emma Phojanakong. She grew up an orphan in the Philippines, became a nurse, came to the US, saved a bunch of lives, and made a life for herself too. And she's a lovely home cook, and she's also the mother of a terrific chef, her son King. So when we started planning the show, we wanted to get at the food that Filipinos cook at home. And one of the easiest and most delicious is a savory and sour soup called Sinigang. And Emma and King agreed to teach us how to make it. King, great to see you again.
You too, Francis.
And Emma, thank you for having me back in your wonderful home.
Thank you.
So today, you're going to show me how to make sinigang, which is indigenous native Filipino dish.
It's a kind of, we'll make a seafood sour soup out of shrimps and salmon head and neck. It's a typical dish, but it's regional the way they make it sour. They use tamarind, they use guava, they call batuan, and sometimes calamansi and vegetable.
Yeah. So calamansi is the lime-like
lime,
fruit, guava. And King, when you emailed about this, you said this is absolutely one of your comfort food dishes growing up.
Oh, yeah. My mom, she used to cook it here, at least once a week. It's a soup that we had. And not always with seafood, a lot of times we'll have it with pork, even beef, ribs. But what I really loved about it, I remember, is, you just get a hot bowl of rice and you put the soup on the rice, and that sourness just keeps wanting you to go back and have more and more. Like, you never have enough.
Yeah. So you have this water that's a little bit white, a little bit milky. So this is water that you use to wash the rice, and you save that
washing,
water.
Yeah.
When you wash the rice, I guess some of the starch comes off of the rice, so it's kind of like a cloudy water, and when you use it in the soup, it's going to add a little body to it. I mean, you can see it now already.
Yeah.
And then the tamarind, we don't get tamarind pods here, so we buy the blocks of tamarind.
So you take that block and you put it in this water, you heat it up so it softens, and then you kind of strain out the seeds and kind of push it through a sieve or something.
Yeah.
So Emma, you have basically a little tea strainer that you're using.
Yeah, I usually
kinda
have a big one.
So it's not traditional to use a 2-inch strainer.
Actually, I use kind of a cheesecloth. When it comes to a boil, we add the tomato and the onion.
So thank you for doing all the work in advance, but it's very simple. It looks like you have some limes cut up, you have a few tomato wedges cut up, you have some daikon radish, some onion slice, some long beans, but it seems there's a fair number of ingredients, but it seems like a pretty simple setup. We're not doing any complicated technique or anything. We're just waiting for this to boil and then adding all the vegetables.
And then shrimps and salmon head comes last.
And with salmon too, it's that really rich, oily fish, so you get a lot of that richness to balance with the sour broth. So at this point, the broth is starting to come up. It's at a nice simmer. You put in some onions and some tomato first.
Salt and pepper.
I'm going to put some calamansi in there too, okay?
So now there are 3 kinds of sour flavor in here, between the tamarind, the tomato, and the calamansi.
We add fish sauce.
Oh, you like fish sauce in this?
Tablespoon. It makes it tasty.
Yeah, fish sauce gives it so much umami and depth,
Yeah.
and especially with sour things, fish sauce is so delicious. So Emma, what's it like having a chef for a son when he comes and he grew up on your food, but now he comes and keeps messing with it?
I love it because he really can cook.
Oh yeah. I mean, King's a great cook, but do you ever feel a little bit like, I taught you how to do this. You can't come into my kitchen and mess my things up.
Well, yes, but it's mommy. This is the way I do it. Is that okay?
All right, so now you're just spooning the broth back over the fish just to make sure it's getting heat on both sides.
Looks good, Mom.
Okay.
It's looking good.
Taste it.
It's looking good. Oh, yeah. Check it out, Francis. Try it.
It's light. It tastes like food you want to eat all day long, and you have like the shrimp and the fish that's sort of in the background a little bit now. Like they're sort of the base, but you get so much of that that fruitiness from the tamarind. And that's so delicious. Thank you two so much for having me back.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for coming back. I'm glad you like the sinigang.
I'm glad you could come and taste the delicious food from the Philippines.
That was Emma Phojanakong and her son King. He's the chef of Kuma Inn in New York City, and you can find their recipe for sinigang at splendidtable.org.